27 years ago, a person murdered a 37-year-old mom of 2 and a wife of 18 years. And they're just out there doing whatever they're doing. And someone knows something.
So when the police came and talked to you, they made you go with them then? Did you have to get in their car?
Well, I come in and got dressed. Me and the cop rode down. They had me stand outside, and then they brought me in to identify the body.
Yeah, so you had to see Mom there on the ground.
Yep. She was on her back when I was there. They had a blanket on her.
And they just said, "Is this your wife?"
Yeah.
And then what happened?
I said, yeah.
And then did you have to stay with them? Did you come back here?
I went back outside, and then they brought me home.
In 1993, on July 8th, my mother was working an overnight shift at this Extra Mart. Around like 2 o'clock, someone came in and shot her in the back of the head and stole about $100. They never caught the person who did it. I guess they have some suspects, but no one's ever been caught. It's up here on this, as they described, lonely country road. And imagine this road 27 years ago, you know, way less busy, way less people, neighbors, all that. This is where she died. The cash register and the counter were on this corner here. So it was in this area behind the cash register that she was shot in the back of the head for $100. Somebody did this, and somebody knows who did it. And it's time to come forward. Nothing seems like has ever been done. I assume probably behind the scenes there has been stuff. It's considered a cold case. A cold case is technically a case that is still open and still being investigated, but it's one that, you know, they sort of, I think, have exhausted all leads, so it's just kind of sitting and hanging out. 1993, there was a video camera in the store, but it wasn't a recording video camera, and whoever did it knocked it down. But it was just like a recorder that dinged when someone came in and out. So there's no video evidence. I heard that they found gun casings after the store reopened. I don't know if that's true. You know, I don't know what to believe.
I want those guys to know that people are still thinking about it, and they should still keep doing their work.
Well, I think the people who think about it are people like you and me. And when you go down and talk to the cops, they're going to say, we're doing this, we're going to do that.
Sure. Like, there's a bunch of rumors, but
I have no idea.
I don't know anything. Yeah.
I don't know neither.
And they won't tell you anything.
Open case, they won't tell anything.
Right.
Hoping that people see this and are reminded that it happened and don't forget about her. Somebody knows something, and it's been a long time, and it's time to come forward. So
It's a real powerful video. We're just kicking off, and I want to just introduce everyone to Linda here. Linda is Betty's daughter, and put that video together, or was the one being interviewed in that video and talking about this story here. You reached out to me and kind of said, hey, let's you're trying to get this story out about your mother, and you wanted to talk, and I was like, let's make it happen. And so here we are. And I don't even know where. I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to feel your pain or the questions you've asked over the years, especially kind of since we know a little bit, just because how you explained it in that video. But tell us about it. Tell us who you are and kind of why you did this now. We kind of talked off camera for a second, but tell me why you're coming forward now, why you produced this video and getting the word out there.
Sure. So this happened in 1993 when I was 17, and I have a brother who was 14 at the time. And you always just think it's gonna get solved, and you're gonna figure it all out, and sort of never happened. So at this point, I had been wanting to do something for a long time, but it's pretty scary. So I have a friend, Leanne Fivey, who is the videographer, and she put it all together. And we had a talk, and I was like, look, this is my truth. This is what I have. Will you help me? And she's like, yeah. So we took a day and did these recordings, and I had to talk to my dad about it, which is not fun. They were married for 18 years, almost 19, happily married. So I'd ask him all these uncomfortable questions. So basically in 1993, she was working at a convenience store.
Yeah. Before you go into that story, kind of set the stage at exactly, because we don't know who's going to watch this video and who it's going to ring a bell to and all of that stuff. And so kind of set the stage where this is at and what she's doing there.
Yeah. So my mom was working at a convenience store at an overnight shift. She was, the only person in the store. And I had just graduated from high school, and she was working there to make some extra money. And it was a small town, middle of nowhere.
What's the name of the town?
Charlton, New York.
Charlton, New York. Okay.
It's a little west of Saratoga.
Okay.
So total country farm. Everyone thinks it's safe. And in the middle of the night, someone came in and took about $100, shot him in the back of the head, take off, disappeared. They weren't caught. So it's been a mystery since then. And the Saratoga County Sheriffs are the ones who are investigating it. So they're in charge of the case. There's rumors. It's a small town, so you can't get away from that. But now I think is the time to get this all figured out. So
what are the I don't want to go down a rumor mill, but sometimes there's an element of truth in every little rumor or every little story. Is it somebody that you guys knew or people that you have names for that you think did this?
I've heard names. I don't know if they're correct or not. So my mom my mom was 37 when she died. And she used to work at this place called Chuck's Store in Galway, which everyone knows who knows the area. It was a little store, and they made food, and it was literally across the street from the high school. So all the high school kids would come over for lunch and, eat their food. And at that point in time, because it was 27 years ago, smoke their cigarettes and all that sort of stuff. So she basically knew everybody in town. There's a possibility she knew the person who did it. Like that would probably make sense for the end results. But there's no confirmation whatsoever. I got a call around 2014, 2015 from Saratoga County, and they're like, just heads up, you might see some stuff in the paper. And I was like, wow, okay, great. After that, nothing in the paper, no call, nothing. So, I feel like sometimes to work on these things, you have to get it in the public.
Absolutely.
You have to put yourself out there. So that's why the video was made, and that's why I want to try to get all ears and eyes on this,
Yeah. And with the law enforcement, I saw in the video you're talking to your father there, and he comes down and he has to identify your mother. When you're 17 years old, so you're very much aware of what's happening, what's going on, everything was law enforcement in the days following up with you guys, but no answers, no like real push any which way, huh?
So the night that it happened, I was babysitting at a friend's house, and
Okay.
life is so funny, because I was having this conversation with a friend of mine about how she felt when her brother died, and at 17, I didn't know death. Like, I hadn't even had like a dog die, So it's just so bizarre that was the conversation of the night. And then in the morning, my dad called at like 6, and there were no cell phones then. And he's like, Linda, I'm coming down to talk to you. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm a sleepy 17-year-old. And he's like, I have to talk to you about the truck. And I was like, okay, because I was driving his truck at the time. And the neighbor, who is now deceased, drove my dad to Glens Falls from Galway, which is like 45 minutes or so, in New York, upstate New York. I saw my dad get out of the truck, and the way he was walking, I was like, something's wrong, And he opened the door, and he's like, Linda, your mom's dead. And I'm like, what? She's 37. Like, she's totally healthy. Like, what? I couldn't believe it. And had to go home and didn't even know what happened at that point in time. Probably like 24 hours later or something, found out that she had been shot. But I think the police immediately thought that it was my dad, because when a wife gets killed, they just go that way. And so I feel like they were kind of distracted for a couple weeks,
Gotcha.
Didn't really hear much about it it was in the paper for a while. It was people's minds, and then it just sort of kind of fades out for some,
Yeah, and this is before social media, before cell phones, like you said, before Twitter and Facebook and all that. And now in today's society, something like this happens. This is the first place people turn.
Yeah.
Man, it's so weird in these cases, because like my initial instinct would be, well, maybe we could get all the information from law enforcement. I obviously know, since it's not a closed case, it's just a cold case, they don't normally release that stuff. Have you spoken with law enforcement recently?
So I left a couple of messages for the detective who's on the case, who I tagged on the post and whatnot.
Okay.
I haven't spoke with him directly. We've emailed a little bit. I will follow up on that, of course. Maybe like 7 years ago, I had a friend who was in law enforcement, and she called them for me to try and get information. And they're like, we can't tell you anything. It's an open case. So it's technically an open case, and they won't tell us anything.
And so, but because you obviously had funeral services and some closure for the family on that side of things, but just the closure for the justice side of things. Do you think that the people or the person involved in this, I guess you don't have any clue. You just don't have a clue. I would say maybe we would hope they were incarcerated for something else, or maybe they got caught on something else and they're going to die with this secret to the grave. You said it's a real rural area, but it's across from the high school?
No, so she worked across from the high school.
Okay.
So she knew all the high school kids.
Oh, okay. But where it happened wasn't across from the high school.
It was probably like 5 to 7 miles away.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
and when all this went down, no kids or high schoolers or anybody that knew her saw anything that night?
There were some people, I guess, who heard gunshots.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't know the details of the case because none of it has been released. I heard that the bullet casings were found in the store after it reopened, which is not a positive sign.
No.
So like I said, I don't really know, and there's lots of rumors. I don't know, but I would suspect that whoever did it is probably still in the area because it's a small place. And since I put that video up, I've probably gotten like 5 or 6 like little tips, and of course pass them along. But that's all I know.
Yeah. So with that, so that video came out. I guess you put that out 30 or 27 years to the day, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So that was just June 8th.
July 8th.
July 8th. I mean,
Yeah.
And you're saying you've already. So do you have a Facebook page that started and stuff that people can go to, or a Facebook group?
I have a Facebook page. It's Justice for Betty Conley. I started it a while ago. I haven't really promoted it or anything, but I will do that.
Yeah, just to think where like people. I mean, you obviously want a result. You want your mom's story out there and what's out there to continue to be talked about, even if it's just locally. But the crazy thing that happens is people hear this, right? And then they pick up the phone and they start calling the sheriff's department and trying to start pressuring from all over the place. And so, yeah, definitely I would encourage you to engage on that thing and continue to tell that story. The video was excellently done, and it grabbed my attention. When I saw the message and then you sent the video, I watched it, and I wonder how many people are in the same situation you're in, where they've lost a loved one to a murder. They know it was foul play and still have no answers.
Yeah. And so I did put it out because I do want people to reach out, and I do want people to call. Like, I can do it, but the more people who do it, the better,
Absolutely.
They need, like, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, So, like, I feel like that needs to happen.
Did anyone do any private investigating along the way, or did you and your family kind of just allow the police to do their thing?
Well, so, I mean, I grew up kind of poor, so there wasn't enough money to throw into this. I think we trusted the police to do a good job and to be thorough. And I'm not saying they didn't. I don't know. But there was no, as far as I know, like I said, I was young. I moved away in my early 20s. It was a whole bunch of stuff. But as far as I know, there was not a private investigator. It could certainly happen now. I've had some lawyers reach out to me who want to do like some freedom of information requests, which is
absolutely.
Everything is kind of on the table right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is once the word is out, and if, a couple of these cases that I've looked into, as soon as people start talking about them and really get into them, information comes from all kinds of places, even from people who maybe aren't working there anymore, right? It's an old law enforcement agent who left and said, we didn't really do this, or we should have done this, or there was this one person that we never checked up on. And if we go back and now look at that one person, most of the time, if they were a suspect or something, they've done other stuff along the way that could maybe point down to them. So,
yeah.
Well, Linda, I thank you for reaching out to me. I want to continue to talk about this a little bit more and talk about your mother's case and look at it. And we'll go back and read those newspaper articles that were written and stuff. But I encourage you to stay strong and keep your head up. And I mean, let your voice be heard. There's 6-7 billion people out there that you can reach out to now.
Awesome.
All over the world. And so
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So thank you so much. I don't want to take up too much of your time. And I think that people just hearing about it and waking up to, here's a case that's 27 years old, that if someone out there has information, if someone, is living with a guilty conscience, or I don't know where the information could come from, but I believe it could. So
I do too.
Yeah. So thank you. And I just encourage you. Go ahead.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, stay safe, and we'll just keep in touch. You've got my number and my, you know how to get a hold of me, and I'm just a message away. So if you hear anything, if you get new information, or if anything comes forward, please reach out to me.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda.
Yeah. All right.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh man, it is so challenging when you're sitting across from a computer and you're listening to this story, watching that video, and trying to put yourself in the shoes of someone who hasn't had answers for 27 years about her mother's murder. Um, I encourage you, if you've watched this, not for me, not for anything else, but for Linda, for her family, for Betty, share this video in all your little crime groups and your mystery groups. And I challenge you to dig a little deeper. You can watch it. She said the name of the link of the Facebook group. Someone will put it out there in the comments. But thanks for joining Dad with a Phone. These little things that pop up, I don't grab them all, but this one really grabbed my heart this morning. And so I wanted to bring Linda on and let her tell her story. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you guys later. I'm going to end it. I'm going to go back and end it with that video that she put together just a couple of days ago. It's on Facebook page. It's on her Facebook page. I don't know if it's on her mother's group yet, but I think this is a good encouragement. She is just kicking off this campaign to find out answers for her mother. You know, so long we can only stand by so long and listen and wait for answers from law enforcement. And in today's world, I believe social media is the fastest way to get that story out there. So I'm going to end this with that video again. If you're just joining, you can go back and check it out. It's worth the watch. It's worth listening to the story. And maybe just a share will make a difference. Someone will see this. It'll wake someone's eyes up, ears up. Maybe it'll jog someone's memory.
"27 years ago, a person murdered a 37-year-old mom of 2 and a wife of 18 years. And they're just out there doing whatever they're doing. And someone knows something.
So when the police came and talked to you, they made you go with them then? Did you have to get in their car?
Well, I come in and got dressed. Me and the cop rode down. They had me stand outside, and then they brought me in to identify the body.
Yeah, so you had to see Mom there on the ground.
Yep. She was on her back when I was there. They had a blanket on her.
And they said, "Is this your wife?"
Yeah.
And then what happened?
I said, yeah.
And then did you have to stay with them? Did you come back here?
I went back outside, and then they brought me home.
In 1993, on July 8th, my mother was working an overnight shift at this Extra Mart. Around like 2 o'clock, someone came in and shot her in the back of the head and stole about $100. They never caught the person who did it. I guess they have some suspects, but no one's ever been caught. It's up here on this, as they described, lonely country road. And imagine this road 27 years ago, you know, way less busy, way less people, neighbors, all that. This is where she died. The cash register and the counter were on this corner here. So it was in this area behind the cash register that she was shot in the back of the head for $100. Somebody did this, and somebody knows who did it. And it's time to come forward. nothing seems like has ever been done. I assume probably behind the scenes there has been stuff. It's considered a cold case. A cold case is technically a case that is still open and still being investigated, but it's one that, they sort of, I think, have exhausted all leads, so it's just kind of sitting and hanging out. 1993, there was a video camera in the store, but it wasn't a recording video camera, and whoever did it knocked it down. But it was just like a recorder that dinged when someone came in and out. So there's no video evidence. I heard that they found gun casings after the store reopened. I don't know if that's true. I don't know. I don't know what to believe.
I want those guys to know that people are still thinking about it, and they should still keep doing their work.
Well, I think the people who think about it are people like you and me. And when you go down and talk to the cops, they're going to say, we're doing this, we're going to do that.
Sure, like there's a bunch of rumors, but
I have no idea.
I don't know anything. Yeah,
I don't know neither.
and they won't tell you anything.
Open case, they won't tell anything.
Right.
Hoping that people see this and are reminded that it happened and don't forget about her. Somebody knows something, and it's been a long time, and it's time to come forward. So